I keep getting this question. What's the deal with Deepseek? And more importantly, what aren't they telling us? The internet is buzzing with speculation. Everyone senses something huge has happened, but nobody can quite pinpoint what. So what exactly is the big thing that's changed? What's so special about Deepseek? Welcome to the Scripter channel. Here we try to understand AI and how it is changing the world around us. And I'm Scripter, an AI researcher and a behavioral economist. After graduating from Columbia University in New York, I've spent 5 years in China as a Forbes columnist. So what makes Deepseek so important? Well, here's the most obvious and simple fact. China has figured out how to produce AI at a fraction of the cost, potentially up to 100 times cheaper than the US. And AI is our era's top commodity, most critical commodity. It's like oil, computers, smartphones, and the entire internet all together, all rolled in one. Until last week, the West planned to maintain global dominance with its AI monopoly, assuming AI was so complex and expensive that no one else could crack it. Here's how the world order looked like before the last week. That the US creates tech innovations, well, most recently AI. Then the US sells this tech and AI innovations to China, which uses it to manufacture products. And then China sells these products worldwide. And the rest of the world pays with resources. So that's how it has been for the last quarter century. But just last week, China essentially said, all right, we'll take it from here. We don't need American AI anymore. Thank you. And suddenly, AI is a commodity. And China can produce and sell it at much lower price, much lower cost, possibly 100 times cheaper than the competition. And it's not just hype. In the last week, multiple independent sources tested and verified Deepseek's cost effectiveness. Because remember, it's open source and it's transparent. Starting from now, the New World Order looks like this. China gives AI away for free, forcing its competitors into a chokehold. And at the same time, China gets profit from selling those AI-enabled manufactured goods. So basically, China gets profit by manufacturing. And manufacturing is an area where China already leads. Checkmate. Yeah, here we go. The New World Order. This is one of the reasons why Deepseek is so important. Is it significant enough? Well, what if I told you that the New World Order, is not even the biggest revelation from Deepseek? In some of our previous videos, we talked about what we call the mixture of experts. Until now, AI models were huge and monolithic. And to do anything with them, you had to activate the entire model. It's like boiling the entire ocean just to make a cup of coffee. Deepseek found a way to split the AI into many smaller pieces, each working almost independently. Now they can heat up the exact amount of water they need. Here's the rough idea. A cluster of small AI models managed by a load balancer. It's almost like a manager that assigns tasks. And that's a mixture of experts. Coordinating these small AI models is incredibly difficult. But China found a brilliant solution. Crucially, they bypassed CUDA, and CUDA is NVIDIA's, or American programming language for parallel computing. It's basically like a fundamental language for AI. So they bypassed CUDA. It is almost as if, like someone is using assembly or machine code while everybody else sticks to Windows or Linux. For those of us who are far away from the world of computing and coding, here's what this means. Deepseek sees the matrix. And it uses a special skill to make these small AI models. Mixture of experts. So it makes experts. And we had a video about this right here. A link will be in the description. That's how Deepseek got so cheap. No more boiling oceans, just a single cup. So we have just seen how Deepseek brings a new world order and makes AI free. So is it big enough to name Deepseek the largest breakthrough of the decade? But wait, here's a real bombshell. For the first time ever, one AI model has created another AI model. In the words of Blade Runner, a miracle has occurred. AI has begotten AI. Deepseek used a process called distillation. It is not new. Some teams have tested it before. But Deepseek is the first to move it beyond the lab and make it practical. And the results? The results are mind-blowing. Picture a massive model trained on pretty much the entire internet and all of human knowledge, from Göbekli Tepe and the Great Pyramids and Socrates up until our times. So building a model like this can cost billions of dollars. Think O1 or O3 OpenAI models, or Llama model. And Deepseek took those colossal models and used them to teach a much smaller model. So it is almost as if a huge teacher model, existing LLM model, that teaches a small model, a student model. So that's how it works. And here's what they found. First, training that smaller student model requires about 100 times fewer resources. Well, it is not an exact number, but just to give you a sense of a magnitude. Basically, it's incredibly cheap. And then, the most important, second, and just absolutely fascinating, is that this student model, the smaller model, is as smart as the teacher model. In other words, Deepseek just turned AI into a commodity, free and open to everyone. China effectively ended the US monopoly literally overnight, ushering us into this new world order. So is that the biggest takeaway from Deepseek? No. Just for a second, forget this West and China and all this new world order thing, and just think about what this actually means. It is an AI model that trains another AI model. For the first time, AI is making AI. And AI turned out to be much more efficient at creating another AI, much more efficient than humans ever were. AI has begotten AI. Blade Runner would be happy. And here we have reached our secret section. One thing is becoming increasingly clear is that we are entering new time, new era. It's an AI era, and it is very volatile and very uncertain time because we haven't been here before. And whenever we deal with uncertain situation, a very interesting thing happens is we feel fear and anxiety. And we can call it here like AI fear and AI anxiety. And this is what I would like to talk about today, and just to share some of my thoughts about it, because I've been thinking about it quite a lot recently. As a blogger, I can see, I spend substantial amount of time just trying to understand what happens around. And there is one interesting trend that I can see is the rise of doom. There are channels, for example, that are doing just that. So if previously we could see that some bloggers, just regular bloggers, or even news media, magazines, they were just publishing in articles or random videos saying like, oh, things are terrible. And that was how the doom was distributed. Now the situation is different. There are entire channels that are doing just this. just producing video after video daily, saying like, oh, we're all gonna die, spreading fear. And this is a new reality. And that's why I wanted to talk about it today. Because the fear itself, there's nothing wrong about fear, about AI fear. Fear is our natural reaction. This is how our body reacts to uncertainty and to potential danger. So again, nothing wrong about it. It's completely natural. As a matter of fact, if we just go scientific for a minute or two, there is actually a special part in our brain. It's very small. It's called amygdala. And that's a part of the brain that is responsible for fear. And it's not even prehistoric. It's like to the billions and billions of years down into our evolutionary history. It is responsible for fear and anxiety. And it's a normal reaction. And again, this is normal. To be fearful about something that is unknown. The way how to think about it is, let's say we are hunters and gatherers. We walk in a forest. And there is a bush, and there is a noise from that bush. And we are like literally prehistoric people. All we have is, I don't know, maybe a stone in our hand. That's it, pretty much it. No weapons whatsoever. And that is a situation that happened in our evolutionary time, in each of ours evolutionary time, millions of times. And our ancestor, each time there was a right decision made. Because if a decision was wrong, most likely there were no kids, and all those, we know nothing about them. They just vanished. So we we have a sequence of successful and right decisions behind us. So the question is, now we walk in that forest, there is bush, and there is a noise coming from that bush. And we know that in that bush there is AI, like that beast called AI, but we don't know much about it. And so what are the three typical solutions that a human had in this situation? Well, the first one is to flee. You just run away. And in most cases, it was actually the right solution. But unfortunately, here with AI, we cannot do that. We cannot flee. We cannot run. Where are you going to run? So AI has arrived, and this is a fact. And AI is not going to go away. That's it. So we cannot run. That's not an option. A second option is just to ignore that noise and just act as if nothing is happening. And that's what the fear situation is. That's where the anxiety is. So you just decide, like, oh, never mind. Whatever that happens in the bush, it's not of my concern. And that's what natural reaction as well. But it is not an evolutionary winning reaction, because this is how you actually do not survive. This is what you do. This is what you do if you okay with high probability of not survival. So what's the third reaction that we can do? Third reaction is we go and we check what's inside. We go and we check what's in that in the bush. It's also risky, but this is an evolutionary winning reaction. There's an interesting thing about this going and checking what's in the bush is actually you are under control. Because if you ignore it, you're not under control. And even if this noise is coming from a squirrel or something like this uncertainty creates a lot of damage to your nervous system, and you have this constant anxiety. And this is, if it's for extended period of time, this is very bad for health, let's call it this way. But most importantly, it is not a survival strategy. You're basically unprepared for whatever coming. But if you go and check what's in the bush, if you go and try to understand what's in the bush, even if what you find is actually some threat, some beast, some bear or a lion or leopard or something like that. So basically a typical threats. just by going there and finding this is actually make you, even if it's a real threat, this knowledge actually gives you power and control. And that is a winning strategy. Our entire history tells us that this is the winning strategy. And as a matter of fact, this is why we have a brain to go and analyze and understand the situation and make the right decisions. This is why we became on top of this evolutionary pyramid, although there are different opinions if this is a top or not, but definitely not at the bottom of this pyramid, that's for sure. So the brain, we need to use it. And we need to use it to understand the threat, to understand and evaluate and prepare ourselves. And that's what we do here on Scripted Channel. We try to understand what we're dealing with. We try to measure it, assess it, and understand it not just from technical perspective, although it is very important to understand the nuances and actually what exactly is happening, not just the words of AI, and just seeing this the input box on ChatGPT. But no, we want to understand what's inside, what's under the hood. It's important. But at the same time, we want to understand how that thing interacts with the other parts of our lives. Because our society, our life is very complex. It is not just technical side. It's lots of social moving parts in it. So it's a complex mechanisms involved, and we want to understand how it's all interconnected. And that's kind of a understanding, holistic understanding that we're trying to get. If you ask my opinion, what's ahead for us? Not in short term, not next year or two, but like long term. And long term in this case is probably 10 years. You see yourself how quickly everything begins to unroll. It's just exponential speed, exponential evolution basically in action right now. So 10 years from now, the world will be unimaginably different from what we have today. And if you ask my question, how's it going to look like? Is it going to be like doom and gloom type of an environment? Or if there is a future, bright future? And to answer this question, I will have to bring my sci-fi persona. You know, I'm a science fiction as well. Because this is in this type of environment, when there's so much volatility and unknown, it's actually you need to use your intuition as well. And sci-fi-ish writer intuition sometimes is actually helpful, and just because you can play in your head different scenarios. So I can tell you that my gut feeling as a science fiction writer tells me that even though the time will be very difficult and very difficult for many of us, and it's going to be, I think for all of us, it's going to be a lot of struggle, hardship, and sufferings as well, just because the whole new world order is being remanaged. And we're not just talking about the countries, we're talking about technologies, we're talking about even the roles of humans. It's like the most fundamental pieces of the puzzle are now coming into motion. So it's going to be a lot of things happening, that's for sure. But the question is there a future for humans? And what kind of future is this? Is this something that we will be proud of? Is it a future that will be comfortable? Well, I'm not sure about comfortable. I don't think it's about comfort. I think it's about, is this a future where we have a mission, where we have a purpose? And I think it is. And again, I cannot really explain it. This is more like just an intuitive level, but we do have a future. And again, this is what we try to do here. We try to understand that future and how we adapt, how we change ourselves, and how we find our niche in that future. So that's what we do. All right, I think that's enough for today, guys. It's the end of our secret section. See you on the other side.